what is the best way to make Act Two more exciting?
How to make Act Two more exciting. I try to look at what the character wants and try and move that want as far away from the character as possible and make it as challenging as possible. Act Two is basically after you've set up your Act One with your Once Upon a Time. It's the promise that was made in Act One that there's going to be an adventure. You promised there's going to be an adventure. That's what Once Upon a Time does. So Act Two is your adventure. Act One is your platform. You set up who, where they are, what they do. But then at the end of Act One, there's an inciting incident that tips Act One and pushes everything into Act Two. So now you've got to do Act Two. You got to pick up that mess and kind of make it work. So one of the things that you talk about in a structure is that Act Two is you're bringing obstacles to your character. They want something, but there's an obstacle to them getting it. So here's some types of obstacles you might see in an Act Two. You might have a contest that they've got to win, or there's a ticking clock that they've got to do something before the time runs out, or they've got to escape somewhere. They've got to go through a maze or break out of somewhere. They need to the affection of someone or something someone they really like. Or probably the most common is that there's an antagonist that wants the exact opposite of what your main character wants. Like your character loves long grass and the bad guy wants to mow everything down. But these are just random obstacles. For your story, you really want the obstacles to be meaningful. You want them to have some meaning to your character. So, for example, if Woody wants to leave with Bo, just putting up a fence, if he can get through the fence, it's too easy and it doesn't really mean anything to anybody. But if you put a huge wall up in front of Woody, oh, that's a big obstacle that he has to deal with and tries to climb up, but it really doesn't mean anything to him either. He'll get over it and he'll get to Bo. But if you want a really meaningful obstacle, think about Woody and his character and his love for Andy. If you make Andy the obstacle, that he has to leave Andy to go with Bo, that makes it a much more meaningful and impactful obstacle that Woody has to deal with almost internally of how he's going to deal with that. Think of what you want the character and the audience to learn. That's your moral, and have the obstacle relate to that lesson or moral, and try to have each of the because of that's driven by your character's choices and not plot. We call this like a character-driven story. What we mean by that is if a character is got a choice that they've got to make, it's not that the world makes the choice for them, they make the choice. And that makes the story much more compelling. And really try to make your character, don't be afraid to beat your character up. I think that makes it more exciting when they finally get the thing, if they've gone through something that's really hard. I know a lot of people that make these characters love them and they don't want to do anything bad to them. You got to be brave enough to dig deep and really work at making your character have a hard time.